Today we talk about Pranayama in Ashtanga Yoga. Actually, Pranayama is such a big subject, you can easily cover 10 classes and still feel you have something more to say, because there are many kinds of Pranayama. Like, let's say if you are in India and it's very hot, you can do Pranayama to feel less hot. And if you are here and it's very cold, you can do a Pranayama to feel more hot. And if you have a problem with digestion, you can do Pranayama to help your digestion. And if you want to relax certain muscles, you can do Pranayama with your muscles. And so there are so many. I mean, you can do Kundalini Yoga. This is also involving Pranayama. Even some very advanced masters use Pranayama to do very strange things like levitate and whatever. So Pranayama is really a big subject. And I definitely don't want to talk about all of it, but only about the use of Pranayama as it is described in Ashtanga Yoga by Patanjali, who is the founder of Ashtanga Yoga. And Ashtanga Yoga, it is just a system of 8 steps, 8 limbs, you can say. Ashtanga means 8 limbs, which ultimately bring you into very deep meditation and bring you to the self and to the solution of all your problems. So if you're feeling cold, that is a problem, so you can have a pranayama for that. And for many of the problems, actually some pranayama might be of help, but the ultimate problem is the problem of the ego, of the identification with our different bodies. And so Ashtanga Yoga is aiming at solving that problem. Then afterwards, whenever you feel cold or hot or your digestion is not working very well, it's definitely not going to be a big problem. So this is what we will talk about today. And the reason that there are so many different kinds of pranayama is because prana itself takes many different forms. Prana is the life force. You can translate it as pra-anna, meaning the first food. Or you can describe it as that which carries life, or which is a special carrier of life. So prana is the very essential energy out of which everything is made and out of which everything has come. And there is nothing which exists without it. There's not only prana in living beings, there's also prana in a stone. And there's definitely prana in the air. That's where we usually think prana is, because pranayama means breathing exercises. But prana is everywhere. Actually, prana is prakriti, the original mother energy, you can say. It is nature. And prakriti goes together with purusha, which is consciousness. So consciousness and energy are always together. You cannot have one without the other. The supreme, which is completely beyond all words and definitions, definitely has both energy and consciousness. So this is a very essential understanding about prana, that whenever we breathe in, the prana that comes with the air not just brings us energy, it also brings us consciousness. And in this way, our consciousness is continuously flowing inside and outside and inside and outside. And when it is inside, you can say that it thinks that it is this body. But so the next moment it is already again outside and it is already something else. No? So also in that way we are very much all one. But okay, now I'm going more into philosophy, that's not really the idea. But so this is the essence of what prana is. And everything depends on it, as I said, and definitely everything that we do depends on it. Our senses cannot work, our body cannot work without this life force. And to come to some kind of definition maybe of prana that we can understand better, we might say that prana is some kind of electrical energy, but it is actually better to say that electrical energy also is a kind of prana. Because prana is more subtle than that. Prana is much more beyond that. Like when we say that prana is in the air, we do not mean that prana is oxygen. Although of course oxygen also holds prana. Oxygen is a particular kind of molecule which has a lot of free energy. That is why it so easily brings combustion. And that combustion is what we seek inside us. So there the prana definitely is in the oxygen. But the prana also is, for example, in the ionization of the air, the electrical charge of the air molecules. And that maybe comes the most close from a scientific point of view to what ancient Vedic text described as what is prana. So it is mostly associated with the air, with breathing, but definitely also it is the essential stuff from which we are made and from which our different bodies are made. And so if you look at the physical body, which is the outer layer, the outer kosha as they call it, then we can say, yes, this is like Einstein, huh? Matter is condensated energy. So okay, this is some kind of energy, this is some kind of prana. But then there is also, beyond that, the energy body, which is literally called the pranic body. So if we work in pranayama, we first of all work with our pranic body. So what is this pranic body? This is actually a kind of energy that is bigger than your physical body. It extends about as far as your arms go, although it can change also how big and small it is. And it definitely can change quality. And that change of quality in the energy is what we experience as emotion, as feeling. Of course, feeling also has an effect then in the body, where we have all kinds of hormones and neurotransmitters and other molecules which also are related to feeling. But the feeling which can change in a moment, the fear which can come in a moment, the anger which can come in a moment, that is happening in our pranic body. And only then when that anger is there, it will affect the physical body and it will produce adrenaline and all kinds of molecules related to anger. And then you get this kind of feedback loop, this kind of interaction between the pranic body and the physical body, where then the anger in the energy body is also strengthened by the response from the physical body, or not, depending on how this body is doing, what kind of energy is present there. If it is a more fiery energy, then it will stimulate the anger. If it is a more watery energy, then it will reduce the anger. So that is where our energy is. But then also, even in the next body, which is the body of mind, the body of our thoughts, there also we find prana. But again, a more subtle kind of prana. This is where our thinking takes place. Some people will say, oh, this is here in the brain. And yes, sure, some of what's happening there, there's also energy going to all these nerve cells and so on. That is happening there, but that is physical, right? The channels that are there are physical. The channels of mind are quite beyond physical. And then inside the mind body, there is even a more subtle body, more subtle pranic energy, where we have, let's say, the soul, where we have that which came from another life into this body, where we have a storage of understanding, maybe also of ancient fears, ancient problems, maybe still there. Many things are there. This is the body of concepts, as it is called. It is the soul. But so it is also an energy. And then deep inside that, in the middle, smaller than the smallest point, there is the self, the pure consciousness, the observer. And that also has a tiny bit of pure prana attached to it. Both, as I say, cannot be without the other. So this is how prana is working in us. And so when we do pranayama, we can work with all these levels. We can work more on the physical level. We can work more on the raw energy level, the emotional level. We can work on the more subtle level of perception, thinking, and we can work even on a more subtle level, for example, with mantra, on the subconscious mind, on the soul. So many different things are possible. And one thing to mention also there is that prana in our system follows certain paths, certain nadis they are called. Like you can say nerves are nadis, and some other channels like meridians are nadis. But again, there are more subtle channels that are beyond physical, where energy flows. And so with these flows, with these nadis, with these channels also we can work. And that, again is a completely different subject. Interesting there also is how the senses influence prana and how prana influences the senses. So that by working with prana in certain ways, we can increase our sight, our hearing, our sense of touch. We can even learn to transmit energy with our hands. That is then called pranic healing. More here known as Reiki, I believe, but originally in Vedic science this is pranic healing. Many different things are there. And when we then look at the different kinds of prana that are there, the first of many subdivisions is that of the gunas, which already I have talked about a lot, which primarily define how you feel. Sattva, rajas or tamas. Rajas means you have a lot of it. You have a lot of energy. You are moving about, you are thinking a lot, you are doing a lot, you are very active. Tamas is the opposite. Tamas means you don't have enough energy. You don't have enough prana. And so you are dull, it's difficult to think, it's difficult to do things, and you don't really feel like doing things, you usually get depressed and all these things. This is the tamasic energy. And then there is a third, which is the sattvic energy, which is neither very active nor very inactive, which is in that way neutral, which is in that way balanced and in harmony. And this is the moment where we feel okay without particularly wanting to do anything, where we feel inspired maybe, where we feel happy without being ecstatic about it. So this is more, you could say, the spiritual form that prana can take in our body. So definitely one of the ways to work in yoga with prana is to work with rajas, sattva and tamas. If you are feeling too tamasic, breathe more. I mean, if you're feeling very tamasic and it's time to go to sleep, then go to sleep, right? But if you're feeling very tamasic, very tired, and you feel you don't want it, it doesn't suit the moment of the day, it doesn't suit what you have to do, then increase your prana, increase your breathing. Very basic understanding. If on the other hand you feel you are too excited, too active, too easily upset, too much thinking, then you reduce the breathing. Then you reduce the prana. Very simple understanding, and only that already gives you so much power over yourself. Only learning to work with that is like an enormous gift with which you can guide your emotion, guide your action, guide your thought, guide your whole being. And ultimately, if you want to feel light, neither sleepy nor very awake, just nicely there, in a peaceful meditative mood, then you learn pranayama as it is explained by Patanjali in Ashtanga Yoga, which I will explain. So this is a little more complicated way. But this first very basic thing is very important to know. There's billions of people out there who have no idea that if they feel tired, the only thing to do is to breathe more deep, breathe more wide, breathe better, and they have more energy. And if they feel they are too much, everything is too much, then to slow down the breath. Very basic pranayama. And then there is another division of prana which describes more or less how the energy moves in our body, what it is doing there, the primary functions. So then we have 5 types of prana. And the first of these types is simply called prana. This is the air as it comes into our lungs. This is the prana that we take from outside, inside. So this prana is here. And this prana also very much is here in our brain. This is also known in medical science that there's a very direct artery going from the lung system to the brain and bringing fresh oxygen and fresh prana there to the brain. So these are the 2 locations where we find, let's say, the most pure prana. Then we have the opposite of that, very pure prana, which is apana. This air is here in the lower belly. It is this air which makes everything move out, with which you defecate and urinate, ejaculate. Every movement which goes downward needs a kind of energy. That is also a prana. But this is, of course, you could say, a little bit less pure prana. And one of the basic things again in yoga, very basic for your good feeling, is that prana and apana should not mix. And this has to do with certain exercises, but this most of all has to do with proper bowel movement, going regularly to the toilet at appropriate time, and not doing things that will move apana upwards when a lot of apana is there. With which I mean, for example, that if you have not gone properly to the toilet, doing forward bends in asana practice is a very bad idea, because this will push here. Belly breathing at that time is a very bad idea, because it will push. And so you will press these toxins and this impure energy into your bloodstream, and from there it will move around in all the body. So this kind of understanding, this has to do a little bit with daily rhythm and so on, about keeping prana and apana separated is very important. And without that separation, most pranayama techniques are not advisable, especially not those like more intense pranayama techniques. So this first has to be learned. First, this digestive system has to be in good condition. Then we have samana. Samana is located in between apana and prana. It is that which takes care of our digestion. This is also a kind of hot energy, you can say, which helps to digest the foodstuffs, and then also brings this energy of the food to the body. Radiates, you could say, from this center here towards the whole body. And then there is a fourth, which is called Vyana. Vyana, which brings the energy that has been absorbed everywhere. Usually when they make a picture, they show it in the arms and the legs, because here already everything has like a name. So then they show it in the arms, the legs, the neck, and so on, because that is, where nothing is there yet. So, but it actually goes everywhere. It brings this pranic energy to each and every cell, and not just does that, it will also remove, you could say, old energy, no, from the cells and out, for example, through the sweat. So, for example, Vyana is also responsible for sweating. So, specific kind of pranayamas that are making you sweat very much, they work with Vyana. And then the last one is Udana, which I have been using here a lot, because it is the energy with which we talk. It is the air that has come in and then again comes out. And here in the throat area is used for speech. And is used for a few other things here also, but mostly used for speech. So these are the 5, and in that way, with each of them you can do special exercises, which usually are very good for health and all that. They don't relate so much to Patanjali Yoga. So we've had the gunas, we've had the 5 pranas, and then we come to another division, which is also very, very important, and especially important to understand Patanjali. This is prana, tejas, and ojas. So prana is again prana, as we take it in. Tejas and ojas are ways in which the body, or you could say the energy body, will store the energy of prana. When you are breathing, not all the energy that you are absorbing is used. Some is left. That which is left is stored for later use, when there is maybe less breath, or when maybe more energy is needed, then it will be used. Yes, tejas and ojas. And they relate to the doshas. Okay, these are all like names, but so you have inside you the water element, no? So this is the kapha dosha, earth, water. So this is related to ojas. Then you have in yourself the pitta element, the fire element, related to fire and air. This is related to tejas. And then the vata, the wind element, related to wind and space, is related then to pure prana. So why I'm mentioning these doshas is because if these are not in balance, if there is too much pitta, or if there is too much kapha, or too much vata especially, then this storing of energy cannot happen. This storing of energy can only happen if there is a balance in the doshas. So again, if you want to seriously work at pranayama, you need to first a little bit work with your body. You need to know a little bit, let's say, Ayurveda. You need to be more balanced in your body. This is really important. Actually, these 3 are better known from Chinese culture. There, tejas and ojas are called yin and yang. I'm actually saying it the other way around. Tejas is called yang, and ojas is called yin. And so there we can maybe a little more better even understand ojas as a kind of liquid which is very cool in nature, which is very healing in nature. I would almost say which is very feminine in nature, which is very spiritual in nature, which is very sensitive in nature. And then we have tejas, which is young, which is like more masculine, more fiery, and gives us the power of seeing, of understanding, of intellect, and also of doing and creating, which are all belonging to young energy. And then the key power that you see maybe sometimes used by martial artists and so on. This is pure prana. So this explains it a little bit better. But this is so essential on all levels. First of all, on the level of health. If you have used up all your ojas, then disease will come. It cannot stay away. Ojas is your storage of energy. If that is not there, your body cannot properly function. And many chronic diseases which just won't go away are related to a depletion of this essential energy, which is ojas. And this is not the only thing. Also your feeling, your good feeling, your ability to meditate, your ability to feel love, to feel devotion, to feel compassion, they all need ojas. They all need this very pure stuff, which is neither physical, neither purely physical nor purely energetical, which is somewhere there in between, very subtle, very easily damaged, but you need it. So in that way you need to keep your energy, and that takes many aspects. I mean, if you're young, it's less of a worry. The older you get, the more you have to a little bit be conscious about it. This is one thing. If you indulge a lot in enjoyment of the senses, watching a lot of movies, in using your senses a lot, bombarding your senses as it is usual in this society today, then also your ojas will become less. If you are frequently unhappy, frequently sad or angry or any of these, then also your ojas will be less. And another one, often named of course in relation to ojas, is sex. Nothing wrong with sex, but if you have like an overdose of it, then also your ojas will go down. And this is especially true for men, because the sperm has a lot of ojas. Some life force given to the sperm, so it stays alive for a long time, has the best possible chance to survive. So there also we need to a little bit be conscious. So this explains a little bit what prana is about, and then you can see what means pranayama. There's a lot of confusion about it and a lot of discussion, and the main discussion goes about, is it pranayama or pranayama? Because both are possible, like grammatically in Sanskrit. Yama is the Lord of death. He is the one who waits for you when you die and decides whether you go to heaven or to hell, like we have Saint Peter. This is Lord Yama. So Yama means to stop something. So in that way, if you say pranayama, you say kill the breath, stop breathing. But then some say, no, it is not like that. Because people usually don't like that idea very much. They say it is pranayama. Ayama is the opposite of yama. So it means to bring the prana to life, to bring more prana. But this is a useless discussion, because actually it is both. Pranayama means both, and both in a way happen at the same time. They can also both happen separately, but in true pranayama they go together. And I already explained it actually before. I said if you don't have enough energy, you have to breathe more. You have to breathe more frequently, you have to breathe more deeply. That is pranayama. Increase the prana. If you are too excited, too nervous, then you need less energy. then you need to take away some of this prana here in the mind. So then you hold the breath and you slow down the breath. And then you have pranayama. But actually the true pranayama really means to hold the breath, but with something extra happening. When you hold the breath, what happens is that more prana is converted to tejas and then to ojas. So the best way to increase your ojas is to hold the breath for some time and then slowly exhale. This is actually also important. Not hold the breath and then not like that. It has to be slow and calm. Then prana will convert to ojas and you will gradually improve your health, improve your stamina, and create the ability inside you not to breathe for a very long time. This is a little bit like a mystery. In samadhi, in the very deepest of meditations, then breath stops. Then you hold a mirror in front of the person's mouth and nose, and there is no condensation. There is no more breath. So how is this possible? Well, this is possible partially, of course, because many functions are shut down, so less energy is needed. And this is partially also possible because ojas is there. The ojas then slowly releases the energy needed to survive, so that a person can really stop breathing for many hours and still come out alive.